You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. This has been a great show so far, and we have another recurring guest that I just adore and love having her on the show. She's a Forbes business and PR strategist. She is the CEO founder of the Pitch Club, TEDx speaker, top-ranked podcast, two-time best-selling author. Welcome back to America Trends, Rebecca Cafiero.
Thank you so much, Mary. We're matching again today.
We are matching. Great to see you. Okay, first before we start the show, I just need to say how adorable your children are. I saw this post that you posted that your son drew something for your daughter on the ground, and she's like, "Is that for me?" And they hugged, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. So good job, Mama. Whatever you're doing here is amazing, but that's the cherry on top is what you're doing with the kids.
It's nice when we get those moments on video, because usually when chaos is happening, I don't have time to take a video of it. I am trying to just pull them apart.
Yeah, well, it is so true, because sometimes I'm like, wait, get my phone. I got to take a picture of this. So that's awesome. So welcome back. Glad to have you. And I wanted to talk a couple things. Let's just dive right in. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was creating cash from coffee chats. This is like a little bullet that you had. And, talking about networking and what kinds of things that we can think about when we're going into networking. So we don't just go in cold, because I think going in with intention, and then you have like 5 questions specifically to ask to make the most out of it. So let's talk about that.
Well, first, I think just to reiterate the fact that networking is not dead. I started my career 20 years ago in the old days where we weren't on social media. And so people like did, interactive in-person networking. And I think that there is this idea that that's gone, but it really isn't. And when I really started to lean into this, even in the past couple of years, utilizing Zoom, was realizing that people are craving connection, and DMs aren't always it. So coffee chats, that is just, if you're networking or if you get introduced to someone, it is jumping on a quick call, or it can be in person, where you're intentionally connecting to find out more about each other's businesses, with the goal of either doing business together, or if I know more about your business, I can better refer it. And it's something that we lean on very, very hard at the Pitch Club. And it's how many of our clients have created 6-figure or multiple 6-figure businesses where they're not relying on Facebook ads. So the important thing to know, though, is when you show up for one of those networking conversations, whatever that looks like, is it's not just tell me about yourself, right? We need to be very intentional. And that allows us to not only be very effective about our time, but ideally for it to be very profitable as well. So I like to go through these questions. And I do want to say, I learned these in a networking group, and I just took them and spiced them up a little on my own. So this allows you to be really authentic. So the first question, obviously you want to know like the basics of the business. What is their name? What is the person's title? Like, what do they do? And a little bit of personal information, because that's where we connect. But then I'll go into the 5, what I call like cash creating questions. And the very first thing is, what is the person's goals, right? What is their goal the next year, the next 5 years? Because you might be talking to a business owner that has a really impressive business, and they may be in the middle of a pivot. So you want to make sure you know where they're going, not just where they've been.
That's a great question. And, I was reminded when you said that about coffee, asking people to coffee. I get the question a lot that is, hey, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain? And that turns me off. It's actually one of my biggest pet peeves when people say that to me, because I think, no, you can't pick my brain. You can, I mean, sorry to be perfectly honest. I mean, but unless you're my, really super close friend, buying me coffee is not going to be the same thing. But if you approach it as like a symbiotic relationship, we're going to do something, maybe see how we can work together. Or what are your tips on even approaching the coffee chat in the first place?
Right. So one is first of all, giving them a very genuine compliment. It needs to be real. So it could be, listen, I met you in this group. I loved your energy, or, you seem like someone that a lot of people, talked really positively about. I would love to get to know you better and see if there's opportunities that we could collaborate, or that I could serve your business. It always needs to be impact driven, because people can smell right through someone that's being self-serving.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is I like to ask people, like, well, tell me about your accomplishments. To give people a chance to brag, because when you're taking someone out to pick their brain, which I agree, I do not want my brain picked, right? What you're really saying is, how can you give me something for free?
Yeah.
And when you're intentional about a coffee chat, and you're asking them about their goals, you're asking them about their accomplishments. One, people love to talk about themselves, right? So give them the opportunity to do that.
That is absolutely one of the best tips I got from somebody when I was dealing with clients. A salesperson said, you know what, always ask the client or the customer something about how they met their spouse, or something about them because they want to tell you a little story. And people do light up when they tell those stories that are important to them. And then they, kind of breaks down the barrier. And yeah, we like talking about ourselves. Okay, what are some of the other questions to ask? Accomplishments and where they're going.
And that's going to show you, what accomplishments show you is a little bit about who they are, about what they're good at. The next is interests. Because let's be real, we all want to do business with people that we know, like, and trust. And someone might be very reputable. They might have done really incredible things, but we're often going to connect over shared interest, right? Like, you're a dance mom, so you're going to connect. If you talk to someone else and they're also a dance mom, you're going to be more likely to want to befriend them or want to send them, business their way if you have a commonality. So finding out what their interests are, what their passions are, their hobbies is really important. And then the other thing, and I think this is missed so often, is what is their network? Tell me a little bit about your network. And I like to think of that show Storage Wars, where people would go and bid on a storage unit. You can't really see what's behind it, but you never know. Because I'm in the visibility space, right? So women and business owners come to me to, like, how do you increase your visibility and for growth strategies? But I'm also in Silicon Valley, and my husband's a founder at a startup. So I often am getting introduced to people not because of what I do, but because of the network I have. And so if you understand their network, you might know where they can assist you that may not be obvious in their business. And then the last is skills. Like, what are their skills? Right? What are their skills that they may be able to help you with, or what are their skills so that when you refer them, you're able to not just say, like, hey, this person's a branding videographer, but they're really skilled in understanding Google AdWords, in understanding SEO, right? Because skills are going to help you understand what the result is. And again, it just makes it easier to refer business, and it also develops more trust and a deeper understanding, so that when you are referring someone business, or likewise, they're referring you. It's not a surface level. And that's the whole point of this, is you're asking them these questions because they're going to reciprocate. When you talk about, their skills or their achievements, they're going to say, and what about you? So you're asking these questions so that you're asked back.
I love that. And it's good just to make connections on all those levels. One question I always ask is about a show that they've been watching, because I binge watch shows and people get so passionate about that and they love to talk about that. That's not the work stuff, that's kind of the get to know you stuff. Okay, I want to talk to you. You have a masterclass going on right now?
We have ongoing masterclasses. Okay. I actually have one literally this Friday that is all about, ironically, how to use public relations as a business owner if you want to learn how to DIY PR. So we do ongoing masterclasses at least once a month that are all around either organic business growth or visibility strategies.
Okay, and when I was reading was talking about IPAs, and I thought she's doing something about beer, but I realized that it was called income producing activities. So I wanted to ask you about those.
Right. So many business owners, understand most of us go into business because we're really passionate about doing the thing that we're in business for. But most business owners aren't necessarily great at running a business. Those are two very different skills. And we naturally gravitate towards the things that we either enjoy or that are easiest. And so I was doing a workshop for my clients last month, and I said, write down everything you do in a day. And then let's get really clear on what actually drives the bottom line, because we're all here to do what we love, but we also need to make a living out of it, and ideally a great living, right? Doing what we love. And what came out of it is that most people and most business owners are focusing 10 to 15% of their time on income producing activities, which are those activities that drive revenue. And so by getting really clear on what actually drives revenue, what actually creates profit or, moves the bottom line in your business, then you can better prioritize those things. And I like to say, if you can prioritize 60 to 80% of your time doing those things that move revenue, instead of doing the things that, yes, they're needed to be done, but at the end of the day, they're not going to pay you or your staff.
So on your list, there's planning, time blocking, emails are on your list, which seems like a waste of time. Because
those are not income producing activities.
They're not. Okay.
They're not.
Okay, got it. So could you give me an example of what some of these are?
Absolutely. So income producing activities would be things like booking, let's just use a service-based entrepreneur. So booking a consult call, right? Or a sales call, a discovery call. It could be actually doing the call itself. It would be sending a proposal. It would be doing follow-up to move a potential lead or prospect or client further down towards conversion, right? So it's something that ends up resulting ideally in a client, or if you're a product-based business, it's something that results in a sale. And so many of the things that we focus on, like cleaning our office, right? Important to do, because I don't like to work in a messy space, but it doesn't make us money.
Yeah.
It's really important to understand the difference. And so, for example, really intentional about it can be an income producing activity. I would say the one thing you need to add, though, is there always needs to be follow-up, because it's really easy to be excited in the moment, but you want to make sure you're following up with that person to keep top of mind. So those are just an example. And I will say, marketing is not an income producing activity. Though, if you're marketing something with a call to action that gets them on the consult calendar, that can become an income producing
We
activity.
always need that call to action. We love spending time with you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us today. People can find you at RebeccaCafiero.com or at Rebecca Cafiero on Instagram. You're going to get lots of tips if you follow her on Instagram, and check out one of those masterclasses. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rebecca. We'll see you soon. And everyone at home, stick around for more America Trends right after this quick break.